All right, so we're going to talk about factoring trinomials with two variables. And this section looks really scary because it does have lots of variables in the problem. But this is regular old factoring with one step at the end. We're going to take into account this y squared on our c term at the very end. So I went ahead and I wrote this for you without the y's. If I were to factor this trinomial without the y's, it would look like this: x squared minus 4x plus 4. Well, this is a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1, which means I can just do my x. What multiplies to be 4 but adds to be negative 4? Well, that's going to be a negative 2 and a negative 2. So hopefully at this point in time, you'd be like, oh, well, that's x minus 2, and be done. Which actually, you could write that as x minus 2 squared. But anyway, so this is the exact same question, except I've tagged on a y squared here and a y there, which just means I need to add a y to that second term. So this is going to come over here, and I'm going to write x minus 2y and x minus 2y. Just whatever variable you have in that c term, you're going to add to your second term in both your binomials. And that's it. This guy is a perfect square trinomial, so I can go ahead and write him as x minus 2y squared. And that's how you would write your final answer for this guy. So when you're factoring with multiple variables, just factor like normal, but just at the very end, tag whatever variable is here onto that second term. Okay, so going over here, this guy is just y squared minus 6yz plus 5z squared. Well, I would factor like normal. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do my x. What multiplies to be 5 and adds to be negative 6? Well, the factors of 5 are 5 and 1. And the only way to get a negative 6 is to have a negative 5 and a negative 1. Well, normally I'd write y minus 5 and y minus 1. But I have a z in there. So just go ahead and add on a z, and you're done. So these aren't too bad. Down here, we're back into what we've just learned. Well, actually what we learned yesterday, where we have a leading coefficient of a prime number. This one you do have to work a little bit. So if you want to ignore the variable to the very end, just deal with like normally. I would do 3 times 1. 8 is 1 times 8, and 2 times 4. So you've got to go through that process still. So I'm going to go ahead and I like to fix my first variables. That's 3x and 1x. I don't know if it's 2 and 4 or 1 and 8. I'm going to go ahead and try 2 and 4 just because, this looks simpler. Check your inner product, we get 2x. Check your outer product, you get 12x. Well, 2 and 12 don't give me 2. Okay, well, that's wrong. So let's switch those guys around. Okay, so let's put a 2 here and a 4 here. Okay, well, inner product is 4 times 1x is 4x. Outer product is 3x times 2 is 6x. Well, that can give me a 2x if I do a positive 6 and a negative 4. So, I'm not trying to go too fast, but it's the same thing we have been doing. So that's a negative 4x on the inside and a positive on the outside. But don't forget to tag on that variable on that end. So I'm going to go ahead and write my correct answer over here. It's going to be 3x minus 4y. Okay, ran out of space here, but it's okay. And x plus 2y. So same exact answer I would have had without the variable added on, and just add that variable on at the end. Okay, I kind of ran into my space over here, but we're going to do the exact same thing over here. I'm going to ignore the h's for a second. I'm going to check for a GCF. Nope. I'm going to look at my factors of 9. 1 times 9. 3 times 3. I'm going to look at my factors of 10. 1 times 10. 2 times 5. Well, I do see that this middle number is 89, which is really, really big. So I do want to go ahead and try my 1x and my 9x first, just so I don't have to try as many options possibly. So I'm going to go ahead and fix, well, actually not 1x, 1g. I'm going to go ahead and fix 1g and 9g. And then I'm just going to try, I do want a large number. So 89 is pretty big. So I probably want to try the 1 and the 10 actually. So I'm going to go ahead and try the 1 and the 10. So I'm going to put the 1 there and the 10 there. Inner product is 9g. Outer product is 10g. Okay, so obviously the wrong order. 9 and 10 give me 19, not even close to 89. So I'm going to switch those guys around. What I want is I want to multiply this 9 by a 10. That's going to get me 90. So just swap those guys around, swap my 10 and my 1. So inner product is 10 times 9, so that's 90g. Outer product is 1 times g, which is 1g. Okay, it's a little bit messy. Let me clean this up a bit here. That's 90g. Okay, how do I make 90 and 1 give me 89? Well, I need a negative 90 and a positive 1. So my inner product is negative, my outer product is positive, but don't forget your h. Tag on an h to each of those guys, and you're good to go. So my final answer is g minus 10h in 9g plus 1. Well, actually, you don't need to write a 1, so I'm just going to make that guy an h. Okay, and I mean, I'm going kind of fast, not trying to, but I mean, we've done this several times. I didn't really check my product, but negative 10 times positive 1 is negative 10. Negative 4 times positive 2 is negative 8. So make sure you're doing all of the good practices while you're doing these. Make sure you always check especially your C value at the very end, and check your whole answer before you write it down. But this guy is our final answer here. All right, going down here again. Always check for GCF, so I do not see a GCF. I do have a b squared at the end, but we're just going to ignore him just temporarily. So go ahead and just do your factors like normal. I'm going to do 1 times 10, 2 times 5, and 2 times 1. So this is not too bad. We don't have that many options. The last one we had quite a few options. So this one, my middle number is 9, which is not super big. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with 2a and 5a as my starter guesses. And I just had to check 2 and 1, so it's not too bad. So I'm going to try 2 and a 1. Okay, well, 2 times 5a is 10a, and 2a times 1 is 2a. Well, 10 and 2 give me 8 or 12, but not 9, so that's not right. So I'm going to swap those guys. So I'm going to put a 1 here and a 2 here. 1 times 5a is 5a, and 2a times 2 is 4a. Okay, well, the 5 and 4 give me 9. Well, how does that work? I need a negative 5 and a negative 4. So inner product is negative, outer product is negative. Double check your sign. Is negative 1 times negative 2 positive 2? Yes, I've done the math correctly there. 2 times 5 is 10. So I'm going to write my answer, except I'm not going to forget to include my b. So minus 1b. 5a minus 2b. So just tag on that b at the very end. Just make sure you don't forget it. So if you need to write yourself a note or draw arrows or whatever, but don't forget, I need to have a's and b's in my answer. Okay, and last problem over here. So let's again do this thing with good practices. Let's always check for GCF first. 56 is kind of big. Oh, but these are all even, so I know for a fact 2 comes out. So I'm going to go ahead and factor out a 2. But also looking here at this n term, I do see a y squared, but I also see an x term, which makes me look at my first term, which is x cubed. We can't factor x cubed. We only know how to factor degree 2 polynomials. So I must have an x that I can also factor out. So I'm going to go ahead and factor out a 2x, leaving me 3x squared minus 5xy minus 28y squared. So once I have that factored out, then this trinomial that's on the inside is kind of like what we have been doing, where we have a prime leading coefficient, but we have a couple different options. So you're going to have to go through and just test those guys. So I'm going to go ahead and write my factors, 3 and 1, 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 4 and 7. I'm going to try the low ones. Hopefully we get lucky on the first try, because I don't have much space. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my 2x down. I'm going to go ahead and do my 2 parentheses, and I'm just going to make sure I'm going to write the whole thing in pencil just in case I get the thing wrong starting out. Oh, nope. This is definitely 3x and 1x. I can go ahead and do that. 3x, 1x. I'm going to go ahead and try 4 and 7 first. So I'm going to try a 4 here and a 7 here. Inner product is 4x. Outer product is 3 times 7 is 21x. That's not going to work. I'm looking for a -5. So let's go ahead and change those guys around and try a 7 and a 4 instead. So I'm going to try a 7 here and a 4 here. That's going to give me 7x inner product and 12 outer product. Oh, well, that works. 12 minus 7 is going to give me 5, but I want a -5. So actually I need a -12 and a +7. So I'm going to need a positive for my inner product and a negative for my outer product. Check your outside sign is +7 times -4, -28. Yes. So actually we're good to go. Just 2 tries and we got it. I'm going to go ahead and just fill in this guy right here, except don't forget I left myself some space to do my variable at the end. I just need to tag on a y to both of these guys and we are done. So if you have, I know this looks like a big jumbled mess, but if we do have more than one variable, just treat it like there's no variable at the end until the very end, then just tag that on that second term. Okay?